Okay, hey guys, a little change of scenery for this video. You can see our nice classroom library behind me. I hope you guys can enjoy this at some point in the year. It was really fun to get organized, to organize the whole library. Sorry, my hair is looking a hot mess. And what even is this up here? Anyways, if y'all are in class, you would know Miss Young is a mess. Okay, anyways. So as I was saying, I hope you guys can come enjoy our library at some point in the year. Who knows, but I really hope so. I've been enjoying it. I've been liking picking out books to read. So while we're talking about reading, we're going to talk about a reading skill. We're going to talk about theme. Okay, so last week we talked a little bit about main idea and supporting details. But today we're going to talk about theme and what is the theme of the story, and what does theme mean. Okay, so if I asked you what is main idea, you would tell me that that's what the story is mostly about, and you would give me a short sentence or two. If I asked you what's the main idea of a certain story, you would just give me a couple sentences about that main idea, about what that story was about. You would sum it up in a couple of sentences. But theme is different. Theme is asking for something different. So I want you to think, take a couple seconds, think, have you heard the word theme before? What do you think theme means? Take a couple seconds and think about it. I'm going to give you a couple seconds. You can even pause the video if you want, but I'm just going to wait patiently. If you're in the classroom, I would have you think, and then when you thought you had an idea, you would raise your hand. But we can't be in the classroom, so you'll just have to think for a minute. What is theme? What do I think the theme is? Okay, so when we're talking about theme, we are talking about the message of a story, okay? The message. So when you are reading a story, you need to think about what is the main idea, but you also need to think about what did I learn from reading this story? What kind of life lesson, what kind of moral of the story was there in what I just read, okay? So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to read you a little short story, and then I'm going to give you a couple seconds to think about what you think the theme is again. And then I'm going to tell you what the theme is, and we're going to kind of talk about it, okay? So the story we're going to read, it's on your Unified Classroom. So when you go into Unified Classroom on Tuesday, click right here, and you can pull, oh, it would be helpful if I shared my screen. Good grief. Share screen. There we go. So when you go into Unified Classroom on Tuesday, click right here. This is the story we're going to read. I'm going to share my screen so you can follow along. But if you want to pull it up and go back to it, it's right here. If you just click right there, it's called Sherry's Game. So I already have it pulled up here. You can just follow along on my screen, or if you want to click on it, it will be bigger, okay? All right, so Sherry's Game. Sherry Ann Lipsky was born and raised in New York City. Her neighborhood was packed with people. Rows of houses lined the streets, some of which held 3 families in one. There were some trees planted in the concrete sidewalk, so there was a slight presence of nature. But cars ran up the block constantly, and parking spots were always filled. There was a constant hum, people talking, music playing, trucks delivering food, fire engines shouting at cars to get out of the way. All of this went on all day, every day. Sherry loved it. New York was exciting. It was her home. It was all she'd ever known. And there was always something to do, even for a 10-year-old. Most of her closest friends lived just a few blocks away. She could call or text any or all of them, and in minutes they could gather together at the ice cream shop, pizza place, arcade, or one of the local playgrounds. When Sherry's friend got a message from her to meet at the playground, they knew what she wanted to do: play handball. American handball is a popular game, most often played in cities, especially New York. It is kind of like tennis, except there is no net and the opponents are actually positioned right next to each other. It's common for players to play in singles games. A singles game is when 2 players compete against each other. To begin a game, one of the players serves by smacking a rubber ball, the only piece of equipment needed to play the game, with the palm of a hand at a wall, or perhaps the side of a building. After the ball deflects off the wall, the other player must hit it back against the wall for the first player to have a whack at it. And back and forth the game goes until someone hits the ball out of bounds or is unable to continue the volley. Players can decide on where the boundaries lie, or if they're lucky, the playground's construction crew might have painted lines on the asphalt to mark out of bounds for them already. Sherry could play handball for hours and hours from the time school got out until the sun went down. With that much practice, she became the best player in her entire neighborhood, winning just about every time she walked onto a court. Her friends would challenge her, accepting the fact that they would definitely lose, but played anyway just to get some exercise and have some fun. Toward the end of her fourth grade year, her parents told Sherry some very upsetting news. Sherry, her mother began, worried that her daughter might cry. Your father has been given a wonderful new job by the company he works for. Yes, Sherry, her father added. I'm very excited about it. It's a promotion, which means we can all have a much more comfortable life together. Excuse me. Okay. For a moment, Sherry was unsure why they were speaking to her in such a way when it all sounded like such good news up until that point. Then it became clear. Unfortunately, her mother said, we have to move to Pennsylvania. Your father's company has a small office out there that he has been asked to manage. We know that you'll miss your new home, Sherry, said her dad, but you're a wonderful young lady. We know you will make some new friends. Sherry began to cry right away. Her parents comforted her, but she was very sad for weeks as she said goodbye to all of her childhood friends and the neighborhood they played in together. A few months later, Sherry was still in a funk. She missed New York. Her new town was okay. The other kids at school were welcoming to her, and her new fifth grade teacher, Mrs. Fox, was very good at her job. Still, it did not feel like her home. What do you like to do for fun? Her schoolmate Tara asked one day at lunch. I don't know, said Sherry quietly. You don't know? What do you mean? Everybody likes to have fun, Tara said with a bright smile. Of course, Sherry knew exactly what she liked to do for fun, but also figured that none of her peers would have any idea how to play handball. Come on, Tara said. I like to go shopping and watch tennis. You must like something. You watch tennis? Sherry asked her. Yep, I play every once in a while too. Really? Sherry was getting excited. She thought that maybe, just maybe, if she showed Tara how to play handball, Sherry could finally find the motivation to go outside again. Remembering that all she needed was a rubber ball and a wall, she told Tara to meet her in the back of the school when it was out. There, she would show her what she liked to do for fun. After school, Sherry told Tara all the rules. That's easy to play, Tara said. It's just like tennis, Sherry agreed. They played for 2 consecutive hours until the pair had to go home. Sherry's pupil was not very good at handball right away, but she figured with Tara's ability to play tennis, she would be able to compete a little bit better at the city games soon. I'll beat you someday, Tara shouted at Sherry as she walked away in a friendly tone. We'll see, Sherry replied, realizing what all this meant. Sherry made a new best friend. She was lucky, too. Sherry remembered how she presumed that nobody in her new town would be interested in playing handball. How silly that was. The first person she mentioned it to played the game with her for hours the first chance she got. So that's Sherry's game. Okay, so now let's talk about what do we think the theme of that story is. So again, when we talk about theme, we're talking about the message of the story, the moral of the story. What did you learn by reading that story? Okay, so I want you to take a couple seconds to think about it. Think. And then I'm going to tell you what I think, okay? Think. Okay, time's up. If you want some more time to think about it, just pause the video right here, and then you can think some more, and then we can talk about it, okay? So, theme. When I read this story the first time, the very last paragraph really struck me, and it helped me to form my theme, okay? So, when you're talking about theme, the theme is not going to be, it's not going to be in the story, okay? Theme is something that you kind of think to yourself and something that you kind of have to pull out of the story. And So when you are thinking about theme, you're not going to be able to point to a certain part of the story and think about or pull it right out. But if you look at the very last paragraph, let me share my screen one more time. If you look at the last paragraph of this story, it says Sherry made a new best friend. And she was lucky too. She remembered how she presumed that nobody in her new town would be interested in playing handball. How silly that was. The first person she mentioned it to played the game with her for hours, the first chance she got. So the message, this last paragraph helped me to form my theme for this story, okay? And so when I think about theme, I think that the theme is that Sherry has made the best out of her situation. She can't do anything that her family had to move. She can't help that. So she's in this new place. She has now taught a new best friend how to play the game that she loves so much. She has made the best out of her new situation. Instead of being sad and missing her old home, now she has a friend that she can share something with. And now they can also find other things that they have in common. So theme for this story is really trying to make the best out of your situation that you are in. So that's what you can learn by reading this story, okay? So that's how we find theme. That's what theme is. If you have any questions about theme, let me know, and I will answer anything that you need to know, okay? All right. Bye.